clear. And I know Arsenal fans love hearing it over and over again. We're going to hopefully hear from Arteta very soon. But how impressed overall have you been with just how this team have evolved under him?
To be honest, it's no surprise with the way that he works the team, the culture, everything what he's changed, you know, the young management team, everything what he's put in place between him and Edu and Vinay, what they tried to do, they've now got it. They've had to move a lot of players out to try and get people in. The recruitment's in a different way now, the way they're all focusing on what they want. They're not rushing into buys now. So I'm not surprised that with a young team that he's got and with his energy and enthusiasm for the game, it doesn't surprise me that we're doing as well as we're doing. But I'm really pleased, simply because I know that the work that he expects from the players, he's getting now. And there's no fat on this meat at the minute. Everybody's pulling their weight.
And you know, this time last year, Arsenal were 15 points behind Manchester City. Now they are 7 points clear of them at the top of the table. Let's hear from the Gunners boss. Here he is, Mikel Arteta.
Congratulations. What value do you place on coming here and getting the 3 points?
Big win against a really good side. We had big moments, especially attacking open spaces, the way they play. We were ruthless, we were really clinical, we had some great moments, and then as well there were moments we have to dig in and suffer because they put you in trouble. They are a really good side.
Could you have done without the stress of the latter stages of the game?
It's part. If you expect to come against this Brighton team here and play them off the park and don't concede anything, it's extremely difficult, especially the way they play. So it was a big test for us to win again, 2 in a row after the period. It's a big win, and now into the next one.
What difference do you feel scoring so early had on the game as a whole?
I don't know. I think the game had moments. Obviously, we started really fast after the first one. I think we have 2 or 3 big chances again to put the game in a much comfortable there. But the game was never finished. You could have the feeling that they were going to take everything that they could forward and commit a lot of players forward and really test your last line, and they did. And we had to manage in certain moments some difficult situations.
But knowing what you were up against today, and we talked about the Brighton threat before the game, was it very much part of the game plan that you made a fast start?
It was, but as well to suffer and to dig in difficult moments. We knew that we're going to have periods where we have to see that a little bit deeper, because that's the way they play. They have a lot of players next to the ball, really short relationships, where they want to attract you there, and you have to prevent that happening as much as possible. But as well, I think we were a real threat every time we were around the final third.
2 goals in 2 games. Just how ideal a start has Eddie Nketiah made to the challenge that's in front of him now?
Great. I think his contribution again today, the way he worked, the way he understood what he had to do, the way he brought the team together, especially when they were pressing really, really high, was really good, and I'm really pleased with his goal again.
Yeah, it feels really positive to talk about Nketiah in such a positive way, given the fact that there was so much around the fact that Jesus was injured. Would he be able to step into that particular role? And he's managed to deliver.
Yeah, we're talking somebody who's come through the academy, somebody who they've got a lot of faith in, and they've shown a lot of faith, put a lot of faith in him. And now with the main number 9 out, and he's coming in there to try and to fill a void, and he's doing it. You know, like Mikel said, he's linking the play well. He's scored a couple of goals, what I've seen, where you don't see Jesus maybe score. A goal he scored the other day against West Ham, and a goal he sniffed out today are the kind of goals he'll get. But what he's also added to his game is the link-up play, the running off the ball, the hold up, all that is part of what's happening to make this team move and work how it's working.
But you know what he's done? I feel like he showed a different type of energy. So when he's had his moments this year, they've been off the left-hand side or the right. You know, when Martinelli was injured for that period, he got his chance out on the left. Playing down the 9, right down the centre is where he's wanted to play, and he's had his chances. And you've just seen a different energy level about him in that position, I think.
And I think they're going to need his energy and the energy of all of the players when you look at the fixtures that are coming up for the likes of Arsenal, because it gets very tough from here, doesn't it, Wrighty, with Newcastle, who, of course, are 3rd in the Premier League table. Tottenham, obviously, eyeing up a top 4 finish, and Manchester United as well. There are some more trickier fixtures to come.
Yeah, they are, but like, I don't think that there's any fixture in the Premier League that you can go into feeling like, oh, this is a foregone conclusion for us. Every single game is going to be tough, and when you're top, it's tougher. Teams want to beat you. Teams get a free hit at you because you're top, and people expect you to beat the team that's coming. So those are the things that people like Zinchenko, like you mentioned, Farah, Zinchenko and Jesus will give them and share that experience with them. It's how you deal with the next game.
Indeed it is. Well, that brings us nicely to the end of 2022, the last Premier League game of the year. It's been a pleasure having your company and yours too. Happy New Year to all of you watching from around the world. See you soon.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Well, let's look back at the match, shall we? But let's start with the second half. And it started well for them, didn't it?
Yeah, it did start well for them because you're thinking, you know, Brighton will be feeling, they probably had a talk in there, what they're going to do and what they're going to try and do. So to concede a goal this early in the second half, it's not ideal. When you look at where it came from, you know, from Thomas Partey there, I don't see too much urgency from the Brighton guys trying to get back. It's not like Arsenal are blasting forward. You know, there's not enough hard work there for me from the Brighton players to get back. And it's still, you've got a one-on-one situation over there. Eddie Nketiah's movement's fantastic there. He keeps on the move when the shot's in, and they just beat Lewis Dunk to the punch there. But that, again, is what you need. And I'm sure when Brighton look back at that, they'll realise that they just weren't quite concentrating enough. Started the game and started at half-time, and they got punished on both occasions.
Yeah, early on in both halves, right? But then Brighton did manage to find the back of the net by Matoma, who was particularly impressive. Was he not, Farah?
Yeah, he was really good down his left-hand side for Brighton. He was a really composed, you know, kept himself on side here. But it was the movement of the second striker there that just opened up the gap between the defenders. And look, you can see the centre-halves come out. I think Saliba's come out there. And then, as we say, Matoma was just free, just here. He's just on side. But it's the way he just cushions it there, puts it into his path and passes it into the back of the net. It's a really good finish. But I think their movement, Whitey, in the second half was better, which opened up the defenders.
When you looked as well, Farah, when you looked at where they picked that ball up from, Arsenal were closing them in the first half. They didn't have that much time on the ball to play it through like that. And we saw it again where, you know, they got just that bit of time. And again, they just haven't got quite enough people in the box, you know, just to finish off, because a couple of times Arsenal kind of lacked a little bit of concentration. But this is the goal. You know, you've got to be tighter on Odegaard than that. You know, especially when you've got somebody with the pace of Martinelli. You know, he doesn't look to pass that or anything. But when you look at where Odegaard is, you see the midfielders there. He's got to get tighter to him, because that can happen, and you can't stop it. You can't stop it. So you've got to be tighter on someone like him, because he will find a pass like that. People say, well, there's so much space to pass it into. Not if you're tight on him, because you've got to realise that he's dangerous in every aspect of the game when he's got that kind of time and space.
Absolutely brilliant ball there, right?
Fantastic ball into space.
The pass from Xhaka into him, the weight of it into Odegaard allows him to play that first-time pass, but he sees it. This is what we was talking about, where Arsenal centre-half just got a little stretch at times, and they was able to have runs. I think it's Ferguson here. He just runs between the middle of the centre-halves, and They got caught a couple of times here, Arsenal. I think Saliba here just switches off. I think he tried to allow the ball to roll across him, made a slight mistake, and Ferguson sniffs danger here. And it was, you know, really, again, another composed finish from Brighton.
It's very seldom you see a mistake from Saliba. But the thing with that, again, is that for me, Arsenal concentration there, they've got to go tighter. Can't give Lewis Dunk that time to play a ball like that, especially if you're going to have somebody running off like Ferguson did and ran so well, and no one's picking him up. Obviously, it's a mistake from William Saliba, but at the same time, Arsenal kind of just lacked a little bit of concentration in closing down the spaces.
And is that all about game management at that point?
I think so, yeah, because obviously they were comfortable in the game. So you're feeling like, oh, this is going really well, and that's all it takes sometimes, a little lapse in concentration, and then bam, they score, and you can see how they came towards the end now.
Well, there was that late fight back, wasn't there, from Brighton, but it was too little, too late, and it's Arsenal that extend their lead to 7 points at the top of the Premier League table, and we had one very happy Ian Wright in the studio, didn't we? How impressed were you with their overall performance?
I was very impressed, simply because Brighton is a tough place to go to. Yes, they had a couple of key players missing, but like, it was when you're top of the league, knowing that you have to get something away from home. I thought that they were brilliant, and obviously the start helped, but I thought that they approached the game very, very well. I've been impressed with the last couple of games, because they've gone behind against West Ham and played to the script and got it done, and they've done the same thing today.
And they're showing consistency now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I think they're showing maturity. I think that's what if I compare Arsenal now to Arsenal last season, I think the maturity levels in their performance and how they manage games and see games out. There's always going to be moments in games where momentum flips, and that happened in the game today, and Brighton took momentum, but Arsenal managed to find a way out of it and stay in control and get a goal in those moments. So I think they've been the biggest shift for Arsenal this season, and hence why they're in such good form, consistent, and scoring as many goals as they are.
Yeah, well, talking off the goal, should we look at the fourth goal? Yeah. Martinelli's goal.
Yeah.
How good was this?
It was fantastic simply because of Ødegaard's part. You know, they've done well here. Brighton really putting pressure on at the end, but then they've left themselves open. But the problem they've got now is Ødegaard's in so much space. Once he gets into this situation, then you look at Martinelli on this side of the halfway, like you're not catching him. So he's literally got to play a ball into the space, and he's had about 3 or 4 touches there, which were exemplary touches. When you look at the touches, you look too much space there. And then once he goes, you're not catching him, but it's his touches here, because Lamptey's good and he's just trying to find an opportunity to tackle, but it's so good the way he's kept that ball close, and it was a fantastic goal. And by that time you're thinking, okay, they're very comfortable, but Brighton showed that they were able to rally, but it weren't enough in the end.
It's the awareness there of Ødegaard, isn't it? So, you know, a player like that we spoke, who's in the form that he's in, you can't give him that much time, and he recognises, because Brighton are on the attack there, and it's come from a transition, so he knows they've committed bodies forward. The space is beyond, which is beyond the halfway line, and Martinelli, I mean, to eat up the grass as he did in that half and score, it was a fantastic goal.
And that's an interesting graphic that you see on your screen right now, because when you look at Arsenal's top Premier League scorers for this season, well, the goals are being shared around. Martinelli and Ødegaard top with 7 apiece, but then you've got Saka on 6, Jesus on 5, Xhaka on 3. That's a good sign, is it not?
It's a very good sign because the goals are shared out. And that's why, you know, as much as we do miss Gabriel Jesus and his energy, what he brings to the team up front with his all-round play, the fact that the goals are spread around, we're not missing the goal aspect of it. And plus with Eddie coming in now and nicking a couple of goals himself, it just shows that, you know, there's so many different places to get hurt by Arsenal, so many different players scoring goals, that, you know, we can still win games even when you've got your main striker missing.
That said, with the transfer window opening tomorrow, do they need to go into the market and sign a striker?
Probably. Probably they will do, simply because it's something that I think Arsenal need long-term anyway, to go alongside Jesus and Eddie. You know, Eddie's got a long-term deal there. You know, another striker coming in will only help, because Arsenal have got ambitions of Champions League and further. Hopefully they can end up winning the league, I hope, but Champions League and further. So you need quality players and you need a quality squad, and that's what they're trying to build.
Okay.